Hello and welcome back to Invest Friends. I'm Alistair and we're talking about building your wealth. And what we're going to be talking about in this video is what is investing? What do we classify as making an investment and what's the differences? So last time we spoke about cash savings, so a current account, maybe an online instant access account. I don't consider that investing. That is saving your money. That's saving, access, which is fine and very important. You always have that. Investing is actually a slightly different step. For me, investing is whenever you're tying up your money or wealth for a period of time or a period of uncertainty, with the intention of getting back more than you started with. Now, what do I mean by that? Why such a broad classification for what is investing? Now, there's many different ways to invest. You could be buying part of a company, you could be buying property, buying a car. These are all types of investment, and I'll talk about that. But investing also extends to think about your cash savings with your bank. What if your bank said, you can have an online saving account and I will pay you 0.1% interest a year, or you agree to lock away your money fixed term for 1 year, and on maturity, the end of that year, I will give you 0.2%. That is then an investment. What you are doing is locking away your access and your ability to get at that money. So it's the same with notice accounts. You might have heard of this. They're not as common in the UK, but they do still exist. A notice account is you put the money aside, you can get to the money, but you have to give them notice. Same way you would leave a job. When you quit a job, you give them notice. So often these are 30-day, 60-day, 90-day notice accounts is what you will see them called as, with the number of days being how much notice you have to give. What happens is you let them know, I need some money, and then in whatever the days are, call it 60 days, 2 months, they say, okay, here is the money. So they have a long period of time to get access to that money again. It keeps you invested for longer. So this is why I have such a broad definition of what is investing, because it should cover where you're taking that risk, even if the risk is, I can't access the money. If you tie your money up for a year, or maybe you have a notice account of 2 months, 60 days, what happens when you have to have that money now? What if you really need that money urgently? You can't get access to it. You have to wait. So you made an investment and the risk is, what if I need that money? Moving on to different types. So I mentioned like investing into a company, for instance. Now we're getting into the territory of you might get back less money than you put in. Same with a property. Property is slightly different, same as a car, because you get use out of it. So if you buy a property and live in the property, but then 5 years later it's lost value and you're selling it, you have also lived there for 5 years. So how much is that worth to you? Versus I bought a property and I'm renting it. That's a very pure, cold, I'm investing. This is an asset that is paying, is a pure financial decision there and then. With a company, you can get back less than you invested. In property, you can get back less than you invested. Cars are the very common one. If you buy a brand new car, the moment you drive off and actually start using it, I think it's 30% of the value is immediately gone. So these are all examples where the investment will lose money potentially, or it could go up. So that's the risk you're taking. Now, there are investments which I'm not going to advocate, and when we talk about them, I will make it very clear why I don't believe you should be going down those routes and the risks associated. It's important you're aware of everything out there, not just here's the safe little options, here's everything, and here's the pros and cons. There are types of investment where you can lose more than you put in. These are often referred to as leveraged or geared investments, where you're effectively taking a loan. So if you imagine playing a game of poker and you don't have any more money, and someone says, I will loan you the money to keep playing poker. If you win, great, happy days. If you lose, you've lost that money, but that money wasn't even yours to lose. So you still owe money the other side. That's the kind of area you get into with leveraged or geared investments, which I'm not going to be promoting, as it were. So that's really the broad definition of what is investing. It's taking that risk with your money with the hopes that you will see a better return. That's really what it comes down to, and that's what we're going to be talking about is I want a better return. I want to either fight off inflation so that your money keeps its buying power, or I want to do more than interest. I want to do more than just keeping the pace. I actually want to sort of have an ambitional plan. And I think this is very important when you talk about saving versus investing. Saving for a rainy day is the bread and butter. It's the hygiene factor. You should be saving for a rainy day and keeping that emergency money on hand just in case. I say hygiene factor, it's like brushing your teeth. You do it every day, no one shakes your hand and thanks you for it, but if you don't do it, people will mention that you're not doing it. Saving for a rainy day is like that. No one's going to thank you for saving for a rainy day, but when you need that, that is where it becomes critical, and you will realize if you don't have it the day you need it. Investing is not so much like that. Investing is all about having a goal you want to achieve in mind. It shouldn't be as sort of ambiguous as just saving for the sake of saving. You should have a purpose as to why you're trying to invest. The reason for this is it keeps you focused and it keeps you honest. Investing can feel a lot like gambling if you want it to. And it's an easy trap a lot of people fall into, is they're not trying to save or invest for a long-term goal. They don't have a vision of what they're trying to achieve. If you don't know what you're trying to achieve, it's very easy to get brought into the emotions that come with investing, where it can, if you want it to, be quite volatile, as in it moves around quite a lot. That can be very exciting and emotionally it's very fun, but that might not be what you need right now. You might be looking to save for something bigger, and by having that in your mind, you avoid it going into a casino, and it keeps you more regimented, keeps you more honest about what you're trying to do. So if you are thinking of investing, and if we want to use investing to build our wealth, we need to set a goal. What is the goal of what you want to achieve? Based on what you want to achieve, then we can find out how we get there. Always start with the goal. Always have the end vision in mind and work backwards. If I want to save up for a car, I will have a set amount that I'm looking for. That is my investment goal. I know that this car costs that much money. Could I accept if I have less money? Well, maybe I'll buy the car in a couple more months. So getting less money and having to wait longer, or maybe it's a bit slower, it's not a huge deal. That's fine. What if I'm going on holiday? That's my goal. That's my investment goal, is to have a holiday. Well, I can just take a smaller holiday. Maybe as long as it's within the same time frame, I could go somewhere else, or I could book something else. That's a very different experience from I've bought the holiday and now my goal is paying for the holiday before it happens. Then the way you do that is very different from I'm saving up for a holiday, and then what I end up with is the holiday I have, versus I've paid for the holiday, I have to hit that amount at that day. The risk you would take are completely different in those situations, despite it being the same action. You go on holiday. This is why the goal is so important. And the goal, the time scales, the risk, that is what I'm going to talk about next when we start talking about appetite to risk and sort of your attitudes and approach and the behaviors of you personally versus what you want to achieve with the goal, and how you can bring that together and to bear that in mind when we think about investing. I hope you join us for that, and I'm looking forward to talking to you again.